Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the WTH podcast. We are back in studio. If I reach that far, I'm off camera. Back at the Darling New Media Studios in Midtown Sacramento. Thanks, everybody, for checking us out wherever you might be, from Australia to India to Redding, California. Glad to have you in. How does this sound? I got a different mic this time.
It sounds good.
All right.
Yeah.
So to make sure. We had a lot to talk about today. Jason and I had a mandate.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
In San Jose. And Kareem, I got to hear a wonderful retrospective on Jason's teen years in the East Bay. On the way down and on the way back. And I say that with great affection because it did make the time go faster than just listening to music or whatever. And I got a lot of insight that I would not have had otherwise.
Understood. Cool.
Yeah. About malls and movie theaters, strip clubs, all sorts of stuff. Coming up on the show today, former college football coach Lou Holtz has lost his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Noah misses South African racism. We'll get into that. I was on TikTok this week. We're going to talk about white TikTok. Is there white TikTok?
Colonizing TikTok.
Well, if there's black TikTok, is there white TikTok? And what's going on? And
you know what's going on there, Nate. Come on.
And a lovely lady at the trucker convoy explains what COVID-19 really means.
I'm sure.
So get ready for some learning.
Uh-oh.
Get some learning in. Before we get to all of that, it's been a hot minute since we've all been together in one place. Are you excited COVID's over? Yeah, there's already a surge in China, a few other places. So let's see how it all goes.
Yeah.
Everybody stand down. COVID's over. Although the I'm gonna fade that music out. The CEO of Pfizer said this past week that it's looking like we're going to need another booster, so shot number 4, which makes sense because, as Gavin Newsom said a few weeks ago, we're looking at this as more of an endemic, not a pandemic. So we're transitioning from pandemic to endemic. And the difference is a pandemic comes and the pandemic goes. The endemic is here always, like the flu comes back. Yes. So get ready to have the fight with everybody who doesn't want to get a COVID shot every year.
Yes, and I am tired of those people. I was tired of those people before COVID, quote unquote, was over, but I'm really tired of them now.
Yeah.
Because there was like, oh, so now COVID just disappeared. It's like, no, motherfucker, you can still get it and die from it.
Barack Obama just got it.
Barack Obama just got it, yes. But you can still die from it because you haven't get that vaccination. Yeah. And you still don't understand that enough of us have gotten it so that it has declined in the society as a whole.
Yeah.
Which was the whole purpose of getting vaccinated.
Well, and if you got COVID, you do have a natural immunity for about 1 to 2 months.
Yeah.
So everybody who got it when Omicron spiked up in January and February, they're riding that natural immunity.
Right.
That's going to end around April.
Yes. And we'll see what happens.
And we'll see what happens to everybody when they get COVID again and again and again.
Yes.
But
like I said, the crazy part is like, this is like, it's happening the way it's supposed to happen by the science. But you were too fucking stupid and too busy talking about the COVID or talking about not getting the shot that you don't understand that it's going the way it's supposed to go. And it's not because Ukraine happened that it disappeared.
Right. Yeah. My wife has texted me. There's apparently a filter she has found. It looks like a TikTok filter for blonde hair. My wife, of course, has very dark hair.
Yes.
So she also knows I came here to do a show. So
A little taste for later, Nate.
well, it's a TikTok.
Getting spicy.
It's a TikTok filter, not anything real.
Yeah.
She might get a wig.
Yeah. You never know.
I'm sorry, Kareem. What did you want to talk about? I completely was distracted.
It's distracted in his pants.
Hey, it's my wife. I can be distracted in my pants if I like.
He's totally distracted in his pants.
I'm boing.
He might buy a wig on the way home.
Here's the real rub with everything. As I've gotten older, so to speak,
Rub-a-dub-dub.
I used to be good at multitasking, doing two things at once, or at least I thought I was. And I still think I am. The problem is I absolutely am not.
Yeah.
I one thing at a time. That's literally all I can do is one thing at a time. I can keep an eye out to make sure a child doesn't kill themselves and do something else. But focusing on two things at once, absolutely not. Can't do it. Cannot do it. That's what happens when you get older. Can't do it.
I might have to agree with you a little bit. Just a little bit.
I had a little quack in here. There's a little quack.
Oh, man. So, were you going to talk about the Bill Burr thing or no?
The what?
Bill Burr thing that you said.
Oh no! I mean, you can talk about it if you want.
Bill Burr, Bill. Bill Burr.
I mean, it's what you always. It's what you always espouse.
Bill Burr, Bill Barr. I get them confused.
Preach. It's what you preach.
So, and actually, I wasn't going to talk about that this week, but I actually saw that video the other day, the day after it happened.
Right.
And I was going to leave. I wasn't going to leave it alone. Then you sent it, and I was like, "Now I got to talk about it." So, I can't remember the lady's name, but
Jane Campion.
Jane Campion won an award at the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeah. Cool. Congratulations, Jane Campion. But Jane Campion couldn't just take her award, say thank you to the people that helped her succeed, say, even just say fuck you to the dudes that have been holding me down. She had to take a semi-shot at Venus and Serena. And, oh, well, I had it rougher than you because you haven't been going up against men.
Oh.
Yes. She actually said that out of her pie hole.
Not realizing, I don't think, what she was saying when she said it.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jason sent us the tweet of the Bill Burr bit about white women.
Yeah, on SNL.
Yeah.
His monologue. So, we're back to white women. And look, I understand you're quote unquote a minority, but you're not really a minority. You're a minority because it was a way to actually cut against the grain for actual minorities. And the biggest beneficiaries of affirmative action has been white women. Statistically, studies have been done, all of that shit, it's proven. Also, having worked in the business community in Sacramento, I know for a fact, because I know people who actually did it, that when they start implementing the women's and disabled veterans programs so that they were able to get set-asides, the white men put the companies in their wives' name in order to get those.
Yep.
So I know that happened because, like I said, I know people that did it.
I would say there's probably a huge percentage of contractors out there that have that listing that are small business contractors.
Yeah, your wife ain't got shit to do with the business, except for it's in her name, so that they could do that. And like Bill Burr said, you guys were right along with them, with white men at the time. I say accomplices, not victims. So take your talking to like everybody else. Take your award. Go sit your ass down and be thankful that you got the award. Like we could have, like you could have did the whole thing, and you could have been celebrated as a woman winning, and even help. I mean, if you were going to mention Venus and Serena, you could have said something about the fact that the great production job that they did on the movie about their father. Like, I mean, how hard would that have been? How gracious would that have been? But no, you would be I'm the white woman, hear me roar. Because you quote unquote are being held down by the white man. So
that's what she said.
That's what she said.
Jason, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about Jane Campion for a few minutes here. More. Oh, man. No, I will say, though, that I listened to the podcast where Sam Elliott talked about Jane Campion and the movie. What is it? The dog. What was it? The something of the dog? The way of the dog?
Yeah.
The way of the dog. And listen, I watched it. And I like Jane Campion's films. Like I've watched many of her films, right?
I couldn't pick her out of a lineup. I have no idea what she's done. I have no idea who she is.
The Piano. Remember The Piano back in the day?
Didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
That was her. That was one of hers.
Didn't see it. Anything I might have seen. I'm holding her down, Jason. I'm a white man.
Yeah, no, I know. So anyhow, that was her. That was the one that she, like Harvey Keitel, like she won Academy Awards for. Anna Paquin won Best Actress, like one of the youngest ever from that. And so anyhow, Sam Elliott pretty much just said, why is a woman from New Zealand making a homoerotic cowboy movie in Montana saying that it's the Old West? He didn't, and he said it even like, he's like, I like her movies. He's like, but what's she know, about this, And it came off as people saying that he was homophobic and that he was, what's it called when you're xenophobic, and some other type of phobic. But like they used all the words like in the article about him.
All of the words.
All of the phobic words.
Sure.
And like if you listen to what he said, his issue with the film, and Mark Maron kind of tried to, I think, help him possibly. But he said, I didn't like the film because it didn't express to me that it was the real West, yet tried to portray something as being the West. And Mark's like, well, you don't think that there's some artistic license there? He's like, they all look like they're clean and shiny.
Yeah.
He's like, they're all, he's like, that's not the way it was. It's not the way it was.
Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog. Yeah.
Yeah, I just quickly glanced through her filmography. I've heard of The Piano.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of anything else she's done. And I certainly haven't seen anything else she's done. And maybe she's great, but I have no idea.
Yeah.
I always get.
So the question then that question becomes: she won the Critics' Choice Award over Venus and Serena for.
I mean, listen. The film has like there's. It wasn't a Power of the Dog was not a bad film. I liked watching it. At the same time, Sam Elliott's opinion about the movie is just his opinion about the movie.
Yeah.
And especially about the West, which Sam Elliott is a very passionate about the fucking West.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you watch 1883, like that's one of the most harrowing. Like I watched a lot of Western movies and stuff like that, and like 1883 made it like you don't want to fucking live in the West, bro.
Yeah.
You think you can live in the West, but you're. Like, if you start out with 90 people, there'll be 10 of you at the end.
Yeah.
I've heard there's a million ways to die in the West.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, and a million ways to not succeed.
That's a movie I saw.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jason.
So I just like, it's ridiculous. It's like, he's the only person that said anything like that. And like now it's like become like a big deal.
So here's. This is the trend that I've seen, and somebody else has pointed it out too, is that there have been a bunch of movies in the last 3 to 5 years that have become pretty much homoerotic movies about everything. A lot of them are women-based movies, which is why I'm kind of familiar with them. But it's like a thing where it's a bunch of them. and they're all these artsy movies. There's one with Kate Winslet and I can't think of that girl's name. There's one with her. They redid Colette, or did a movie called Colette about the writer, and turned that. It's been a bunch of movies like that, and like I understand you want to tell the LGBTQ story or whatever, but does everybody have to be at this point?
Well, I'm not going to say anything from it about that, but because the mention, if neither of you is like the mention that there might be something homoerotic in the film is only alluded to, and it's not even like it's not even to the point like him picking up on it, Sam Elliott picking up on it, is it was very subtle throughout the whole thing, and it was to say something about the American character hiding who they truly are in a way, like that's what the film's about, and the loss of innocence in a way. And I mean, it's a beautiful film and it's well acted by everybody in it, but and the whole, there's no gay scenes, there's no men kissing, there's nothing of that nature.
Yeah.
It's just this one character, Cumberbatch, is an asshole, and you find out that there's a chance, most likely, that he was abused by somebody prior to that. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
And there's the illusion of that happening, and because of that, he's a fucking dick and can't have any intimacy with anybody around him.
Right.
And when he does, it is toxic and it's not good. Meanwhile, Kristen Dunst and his brother, and he dies,
movie.
He dies, and then spoiler, he gets killed at the end. You know what I mean? For being who he was.
Just for the record, that's the wrong way to do spoiler. You normally tell people just before you reveal a detail.
Spoiler. Listen, if you haven't, if you're watching, you don't care about the spoiler. You already fucking know if you don't know.
But
I mean,
yeah. And then the question becomes: is it homophobic to just point it out that that's what it is?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for Sam Elliott to take as much as response, I mean, even when he said it on the thing, I was like, there's gonna be issues with me talking about it like this. I can see it, but at the same time, he has his opinion about the West the way that it is, and when he didn't say I hate gay people, didn't say anything about that. He just said that the way that she presented the West was not the way that the West really was. And
he's old enough to remember it.
Yes.
But I don't know if she was trying to say it. You know what I mean? I don't know if that was her artistic want to show the real Wild West. It was based off of a book. And that's the thing that fucking sucks about all this, is that there's a short story that this is fucking based on from the 60s. You know what I mean?
Who wrote the book?
I can't remember. I'll look it up. But I mean, it's based off a fucking short story. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just like a bunch of fucking idiots.
And I grew up reading a shit ton of Westerns.
Right.
Wasn't a lot of homoerotic stuff going on in those books.
Well, no. Also, those books were written at a time when it wasn't okay to be gay.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's not going to be much in there.
Yeah.
If you remember, there's an episode of The Sopranos where AJ is in high school, and he is asking, because he doesn't understand why the captain is so mean to Billy Budd in Billy Budd. And Meadow lets him know the character's gay. And Carmela was like, he is not. And there was just this whole thing, how she was just really upset with the idea that Billy Budd would be a gay character in a book. And that's why you didn't have a lot of gay characters in books, because people, if it were overt, then the word would get out and no one would buy it.
Yeah. Thomas Savage, who's a
I know
so he wrote the book. Yeah. He wrote a book about it, and it's based on his experiences in his life.
And he also came up with the term pegging. Oh wait, that's Dan Savage. Dan Savage.
Dan Savage.
Wrong Savage.
Wrong Savage.
Okay.
But you know what I mean? Like that's the thing that's like, and so the guy had in the book like an obsession with this guy. I mean, anyhow, whatever. Like you said, subtle. It had to be subtle back then, and like she made it subtle. She didn't make anything gay about anything. It's just like you got the hint of like, oh, this guy's a 40-year-old, 50-year-old man, and he's obsessed with this old cowboy from his childhood, and he has all these saved artifacts about this guy, and goes into this hut and masturbates.
That sounds pretty gay.
That's pretty gay. Yeah. No.
Just saying.
But
That
they don't
sounds pretty
show
gay.
you. But they don't show you. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. I guess that's the.
You just have to imagine it.
I don't know, man.
It does. I mean, you said it happened, so I mean, she had to do some pretty hard alluding to it in order for you to understand.
You realize that's what that guy goes there to do. You realize that he's going there
To masturbate.
This is his special place where he goes to be alone by himself, and then afterwards he's in the lake naked. Like, you know, I mean, like
that's pretty. Yeah, that's yeah.
But at the same time, is he's not.
Dude,
it's an illusion. Like, there's nothing gay happening though. Like like it doesn't even show masturbation. It doesn't even show it. It just like shows that this is a special. I don't know.
It's you said it right the first time, and you know,
Whatever.
Yeah,
I don't care if they've already made a gay western. It doesn't matter. It does not
But
matter.
Sam Elliott didn't have a problem with that one because it was modern day, and there's modern day gay cowboys.
And it doesn't matter if Sam Elliott has a problem with it. He's one guy.
right.
And that's the thing that sucks too, is that like she makes it seem like all these men have been keeping her down all these years. How many major motion pictures has she made? Like
That I've heard of, just the one.
But there's been a lot, and she's always been a darling of like the independent film circuit.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
the
No,
thing.
no, I totally get that.
So that's the question: is she being held down because she's a woman, or because she makes art films that only make money during
100%. That's why
during
it's like
or is she not being held down at all?
she's not being held down.
Not to minimize the struggles that she's had to be put in a position where she is directing motion pictures, because that is not something that is a predominantly female thing. That's still mostly men doing that. So for her to do that is a great accomplishment. Good for her.
Yeah.
Kudos. Congratulations.
And if you're making period pieces, then you're getting money for a budget.
Well, sure.
Yeah. I mean, like more than like 10 cents.
Right.
You know.
So I want to talk about why we don't normally book guests on this podcast.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Now, we have had guests on the podcast in the past, most notably Sean Greenwood from Ben and Jerry's. He's the poobah of PR. I've done an interview with Bald Brian from the Adam Carolla Show. We've had Keith Lowell Jensen and Johnny Taylor. Keith's too good to come into the studio, but Johnny came in.
Yeah, man, it was nice.
Yeah, Keith's a little aloof. Aloof.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, that's why he wears that hat. I kid, of course. But if you want to know why we don't book guests, this is why we don't book guests.
We did talk about it. I mean, he definitely wanted Ukraine, loved Ukraine, would never have happened.
What do you see happening next then? Because it seems like the tensions are high. How does this all end? Is this going to be like a long-term thing? How do you see it unfolding?
Well, and I said this a long time ago, if this happens, we are playing right into their hands, green energy. The windmills, they don't work. They're too expensive. They kill all the birds. They ruin your landscapes. And yet the environmentalists love the windmills. And I've been preaching this for years. The windmills, and I had them way down, but the windmills are the most expensive energy you can have, and they don't work. And by the way, they last a period of 10 years, and by the time they start rusting and rotting all over the place, nobody ever takes them down.
And
They just go
apparently,
into the next piece of prairie or land and destroy that. It's incredible that they want, but other forms of green energy, they don't have, would have never.
Okay.
That question was about Ukraine, right?
Correct.
And how he thought that Ukraine was going to end.
And he started answering the question and then just did the full pivot. Now, this is a podcast about UFC. Why they went to talk to Trump, I don't know. But they rolled in there with a large case of beer. He doesn't drink. These dudes are, I don't know how they got, well, I know how they got into Mar-a-Lago. They said, hey, we'll give you some exposure. I don't know what's happening.
we should get Trump. I bet you if we tried to, we could get Trump on the podcast.
Not going to try.
I think we should.
No, absolutely not. Not going to do it.
Yeah, we should do it.
Yeah,
Nope.
we should fucking gaslight that motherfucker.
Absolutely not. So if you're wondering why we don't normally book guests, that's why we don't normally book guests.
Because they just end up sounding like Trump.
You never know. The next thing I want to talk about, it's not what I want to talk about. We're into the show now, motherfuckers.
We're into the show.
We're into the show. We're all through that nonsense. It has been a very big week and a half for NFL quarterbacks. Now, Mark Schlereth, former NFL player, commentator, had some things to say about his favorite team, his former team, the Denver Broncos, and their quarterback situation and how it's played out.
Hey guys, your boy Stink here, and I just want to reach out to all you Packer fans who have been hitting me up on Twitter all day, checking on me to make sure I was going to be okay. And yeah, I was upset when Aaron Rodgers decided to go back to the Green Bay Packers, and yeah, I'll take the L.
By the way, what the fuck is up with Aaron Rodgers? He's done nothing but bitch and moan that he's wanted out of Green Bay for 2 years. Won the last 2 MVP awards, and then he signs a 4-year deal to go back.
Aaron Rodgers is Brett Favre Jr.
He's a bitch.
That too.
I thought he was coming here last year. I was wrong. It's okay. But according to Adam Schefter, we got Russell Wilson. So my tears of sorrow have become tears of joy, guys. And I am just so busy celebrating right now. And I'm telling you, it won't be the last time I was wrong about the Green Bay Packers. Hell, I'm wrong about the Green Bay Packers all the time. I mean, every year I pick you guys to win playoff games, and what do? You shit in your helmets. So, bottom line, I've been wrong about you a bunch. I'll be wrong about you a bunch more, but I am too busy celebrating to be upset today. Russell Wilson of the Broncos, mark her down. This is a great day.
Okay. I played that just to get to the part where he talks about them shitting in their helmets in the playoffs.
So the other funny thing was, so Stephen A. Smith was a huge Aaron Rodgers fan.
Sure.
He probably was circle jerk with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Until the last 2 seasons. And now Aaron Rodgers signed that deal and he was like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter. He's like, because he's going to shit the bed in the playoffs again.
Sure.
So you just made him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. He might as well be Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, he did win the 1 Super Bowl.
He won the 1 Super Bowl. But other than that, he's fucking Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I mean, he does own the Bears.
Yes, he owns the Bears.
But the Niners own him.
The Niners own him. He hasn't won. I mean, to have the best record in the NFL, probably like three of the last 4 seasons or some shit like that, and not make it to the Super Bowl.
He is a great regular season quarterback.
Peyton Manning.
Yes.
He's Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning won 2.
Yeah, he won 1.
2.
Oh, he won 2, yeah.
He won 2.
Yeah. Well, the Broncos defense won the second one.
Right, but he was the quarterback,
He was a quarterback
on
on
two
two
Super Bowl winning
yes.
teams. Also in the quarterback roulette this week, your Steelers have signed Mitchell Trubisky.
Yes.
A lot of people are making fun of that. You're very excited about it.
No, I called that like 3 months ago.
I mean, honestly, whatever you or I or anybody else says, we'll just have to see. Trubisky spent last year in Buffalo,
right,
watching Josh Allen play. He said he learned a lot from it. He said he got a different perspective from it, and maybe he comes out setting the world on fire.
I'm not expecting him to necessarily set the world on fire. I'm expecting him to play closer to being the number 2 pick in the draft that he was, as opposed to the guy that ran for his life in Chicago who had a coach that really didn't want him.
So you expect him to play like Ryan Leaf then?
No.
Number 2 pick in the draft.
No.
You
not
said
like
it.
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf was a number 2 pick in the draft.
He's actually outplayed Ryan Leaf to this point.
What is going on with the Washington Commanders? They made a big trade to bring Carson Wentz in. And Carson Wentz,
The same as Minnesota giving Kirk Cousins $35 more million, fully guaranteed dollars.
Carson Wentz is making a pile of money. They had to give up a pile of stuff. And I believe it was his last game, he threw for 57 yards.
Yes.
That's only 57 yards more than Jason did.
Yes. A game that All they had to do was win that game, and they were in the playoffs.
And they did not.
And they did not.
They did not.
Because he shit the bed.
Jimmy Garoppolo had shoulder surgery, so his trade will have to wait.
Yes.
I don't think anybody's going to trade for him while he's down and out, but he's an insurance policy for Trey Lance because I'm not convinced Trey Lance is any good.
I don't blame you on that one.
Not convinced. What I saw did not give me hope at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't give me much hope either. And Deshaun Watson did not get charged last week.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that plays out, where he ends up. Rumor is Atlanta. That's the latest rumor.
The Cleveland Browns have also thrown their hat in the ring.
Oh, Baker Mayfield lives at the stadium. He's not going to be happy with that.
No. So that's the thing that I've been reading all day, is that the fact that they're in the sweepstakes at all is fucking. I mean, if I was Baker, I would tell my agent to stop doing anything with Cleveland at this point.
There's a lot that's still going to happen between
Yes.
now and the start of the season and the start of the draft.
Yes.
I think draft day is going to be very interesting with trades.
Yeah. And Seattle has enough draft capital from
Denver.
Denver to actually, they could make that trade, but Deshaun Watson actually has veto power over where he goes to.
Yeah, and I don't know that they want to bring Deshaun Watson to Seattle. I mean,
I don't think he wants to go.
And so win-win. I think
Yeah.
that's a win-win all the way around for that. They'll be okay. If they have a down year and they just draft their next quarterback, I think they're going to be okay. They're fine. Where Jason is falling asleep like I did when we were talking about that lady director.
And
So yeah, Russell Wilson is going to Denver. Aaron Rodgers is staying put. Trubisky goes to the Steelers. Carson Wentz is going to the Washington Commanders. The Colts do not have a quarterback at all.
they were actually they're actually expecting Jimmy to go there.
Garoppolo shoulder surgery, and Tom Brady has decided that home life is not for him. He has received the call of the football, and he will be back in Tampa Bay.
Okay, I'm going to say this.
Another year of Tampa Bay.
I'm going to say this.
Do you want to know why I think he came back, Kareem? I want you to have the last word. I think he came back because he saw the contract that Aaron Rodgers signed, and he just went, you know what? That little bitch is not getting out of the NFC. And if I have to come back to make sure that it happens, I'll fucking come back, and I'll play till I'm 50. Fuck that guy. That's my theory.
You might be right. And this is what I'm going to say about Tom Brady. You cannot play with the football gods, and actually anything that's physically demanding like that, you can only play with the football gods for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So you are 44 years old. You were healthy. You haven't had any major injuries except for the knee injury, which still isn't considered a major injury.
Yeah, he missed the Matt Castle season.
Matt Castle season. You made it out in one piece.
And then they pulled you back in.
Go sit your ass down somewhere, because I got a feeling, and this is the thing that came to me as soon as he said he wasn't retiring. Joe Theismann.
Oh, the leg.
The leg.
I would be more worried about a broken neck.
Look, one of the two, but that's the feeling I got when he decided to come back. And I'm like, dude, you've won 7 Super Bowls. You've done everything. Go home while you can go play with your kids.
But fuck Aaron Rodgers.
Just go play with your kids, man.
But fuck Aaron Rodgers.
And
how much he must hate Aaron Rodgers.
We'll be in the middle of the season, and everybody will be saying, "Damn, Tom, you should have stuck your ass at home." Motherfucker, you have everything. You have a supermodel wife that makes what's probably as much money as he does.
More
money than he does.
Made more. He's
Yes.
made a pile of money. She's made a bigger pile of money.
Yes, you have a supermodel wife.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids.
Mm-hmm.
You've won 7 Super Bowls.
Correct.
You have an ex who's also a supermodel / actress that you have a kid by.
Mm-hmm.
You could go to New England and never pay for anything else in your life. Actually probably in Tampa too.
He's got that deal with Hertz Rent-A-Car.
Yes. Go sit your ass down and be a dad to your kids, because you fuck around with the universe like this and your ass will end up in a sling.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
It's almost like he's at the top of a ski mountain, and he's like, "Fuck this mountain, I'm gonna make it my bitch." But instead, he's like saying, "Fuck Aaron Rodgers, I'm gonna make him my bitch."
Well, that's just my theory. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
He never would say that.
But I mean,
it's real coincidence that Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers goes back to Green Bay, highest paid player in the league history.
Sean Bradley, you brought up the ski. Sean Bradley.
Yeah. That was another gruesome leg injury.
Yeah,
Pretty gruesome.
I have 2 words for you from what I know about football.
What's that?
Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick, I don't think wants to come back.
I don't know.
He's been playing. He's been working out.
Yeah.
Well,
he tweeted today.
It's not like there aren't openings. Let's have him go to Indy.
Yes. Oh no.
Well, whatever.
That's
Cleveland.
That's where it showed up.
Well, that's true. I got 2 words when I think about football. That's Lou Holtz.
Reasons why I supported President Trump before he ever had the nomination. Number 1, I trusted him. When he told you something, he meant it. He said what he meant, and he meant what he said. He promised that everything he said he would do, he did. So I trust him completely.
Well, you completely don't know what's going on, do you,
Oh
Lou?
my God! I thought that was somebody doing like a bad impression of something. Like,
No, that's Lou Holtz.
He said something, you can take it to the bank. The second thing, he wants this country to be great. He wants us to be the best that it could possibly be. And everything he does is committed to excellence. You look at every decision he made, wasn't to help him personally, was to help this country. And the last thing about him, and I believe this after spending a lot of time with him, he cares. He cares about the people in this country.
No, he doesn't.
Has he had a stroke or anything before? Because I don't want to make fun of him if he has.
No, I think he talked funny for years and years,
Is he?
Jason.
Okay.
Yeah, he's really old now.
He's just walking like
He
he sounds like
super
Elmer
duper.
Fudd, but like with even more of a speech impediment.
At this point, fuck Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
And everything that he said, and I'm gonna say this so that all the black people in the back who's talking shit about Joe Biden being president right now, you have no fucking idea what's going on. You have no fucking idea about world politics. You don't understand that the reason why gas is as high as it is because Trump signed a deal with OPEC in 2020 that said that gas prices would stay high until 2020. I mean, that they would cut production until September 2022.
Right.
And that wasn't just OPEC, that was OPEC Plus, which Putin is a part of. But hey, you don't know that shit. And then you think it's funny because, oh, well, Trump said it was going to happen. Like, yeah, he said it was going to happen because he made it happen. Right.
Hey, I've rigged the game. Let me tell people if the game's rigged.
Yeah, let me tell people the game's rigged. Oh, so he's good because he rigged the game. No, fucker, you're paying high gas prices because he rigged the game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh. Ukraine didn't just happen or just conveniently happen. Ukraine happened. Oh, what they say? Ukraine just conveniently happened. He's like, oh, well, I don't know. They say, well, I don't know. All I know is they were trying to get him up out of there. Well, the reason why they was trying to get up out of there was to keep this shit from happening because he had put it in place. He was impeached for not giving them the shit that they needed to protect themselves from this shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The impeachment was because he was asking Ukraine to launch an investigation.
Yeah.
Or just say they were launching an investigation.
Yeah.
Because it would make Joe Biden look bad.
Yeah.
And he held up Javelin missiles from them for months.
Yes.
Several months. Really quickly, want to address a comment. The poor soul who paid $500,000 for Tom Brady's last touchdown ball. If you have $500,000 to spend on a ball, you'll be okay.
Yes.
Exactly. And if you don't have $500,000 to spend on a ball, and you did, well,
that's a hard lesson for your ass.
it really is a hard lesson for your ass.
The fact that you haven't learned that lesson yet.
Yep. So Lou Holtz was at a Trump rally. This gentleman was also at a Trump rally. He's wearing a green "Keep America Great" hat, and he had some things to say.
I'm not gonna fly and wear a mask. If I try to get on the plane, I'll have to punch out the stewardess because I'm not gonna wear a mask. They're not gonna make me. They'll have to, and I'm definitely not getting vaccinated. They'll have to kill me first. They want to vaccinate.
So one, go ahead and punch a stewardess, as you call them. Let's see how that works out for you. I look forward to you, old white bearded white man.
Yes.
I want to see the TSA.
He should be put on a list right away for saying shit like that.
Yeah.
That's a threat.
Well, it's a lot of bluster about nothing is what it is. But
fuck that dude. Jail, 20 years, bitch.
Law and order.
I'll tell you what, hey, you want to live under Putin or Xi Jinping? Like, yeah, let's do this fucking shit, bitch. Trump's world now. Trump world. 20 years, talking back, bitch. Oh, you want to talk bad about Trump world? Yeah. 22 years in the fucking gulag.
And the crazy shit is, all these motherfuckers actually spent time under their desk as kids, the fucking nuclear war drills.
I don't get it, man.
You forget that shit? Like, how do you forget that?
Yeah. Oh, can I want to say something real quick because this is making me just think about something I messaged in the Twitter about it, but fucking Adam Carolla. And that gas thing. Mm-hmm. So I looked it up because I was like, it's fucking dick, dude. Because he's been all over the place, like, talking about the shitty, like, high gas prices and stuff like that. And, like, that the Hollywood elite don't care about the high gas prices and shit like that. This motherfucker, back in 2007, May of 2007, that week, that month, and he said it many times. This is how I remember it because he said this many fucking times. Where he said you want to get more people to use public transportation and to do better about climate change and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Make it $10 a gallon for gas.
Yeah,
he used to fucking say that all the time, all the fucking time, like all the time. And now he's sitting there talking shit about how the gas prices are high. Go fucking suck a dick, dude. Like,
well, so let me explain to you what's different now. First of all, he's really conservative now. Second of all, he's getting a divorce, so he may not have the same level of disposable income he once had.
So fucking idiotic, though. I mean, what the fuck? Like, I just like I guess they really think that we just don't listen or remember shit, sometimes. Or these things like, oh yeah, my listeners don't care. Like, if you've been a listener to Adam Carolla, you know that he's talking a bunch of fucking bullshit now. Like, I don't know. Probably like a big portion of our people have come on in the last 10 years, right? Like, that's probably a big portion of his new. I don't know. That's just fucking weird, dude. I just don't get it.
I'm betting at this point he added a lot of listeners who would see him on Fox News. He did a segment every Monday night on Bill O'Reilly's show. And he's had little segments on Fox News, and that was where he was getting national TV exposure. And that was how he was adding to his audience, because at a certain point you max out your audience and then it's harder and harder to grow. And when you're talking about that, he knows who's listening to him. So he knows when he has to lean on that stuff. I popped back on his podcast a year ago and I listened for a while. I'm like, oh, okay. And then we hit one of the right-wing talking points, Jags. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm done for today. And I'll come back. And, it's not the entirety of his show. It's a small portion of his show.
And then another small portion of his show is him telling the same stories he's told for the last 30 years.
No, that's most of his show.
Yeah, I guess
that is most of his show. 6 to 1, half a dozen to another.
I'm just gonna call up and talk and try to get him to talk about putting a mason jar up my ass. I'm just gonna try to do that bit on there now.
Okay.
That That was always the big deal, right? Wasn't that the thing, like on Love Lines and stuff like that?
I didn't listen to Love
I
Line.
used to love that show.
I'm sorry.
Until both the guys got fucking crazy.
Anyway, I tell you, when you get older, something happens to you.
Yeah.
And if you're not around the right people to keep you in line, you can just come up with these crazy, just these shithouse rat crazy ideas about stuff.
Yeah.
And if there's no one around that you respect to keep you in line and say, come on, what is going on?
Wait, what the fuck is wrong with
Yeah,
you?
what the fuck is wrong with you? Then you just, and the worst thing is if you have somebody who feeds it. And I think that was the turn for Dr. Drew, because Dr. Drew was doing Loveline without Carolla for a long time.
Yeah.
And then he came back in and started doing the Adam and Dr. Drew podcast. And he had his own podcast, but he was doing it out of Carolla's studios. And Carolla's seeing this, and then Drew, and then the back and forth, and it becomes this echo chamber between these two guys who are friends. And it just, that's how it gets exponentially to that point.
Yeah.
And it was a weird thing because that's not the same Adam Carolla that I was used to listening to in terms of, yes, of course he had these ideas, and he liked to say a lot of things like he'd see these women who had facial piercings and multicolored hair and said they were doing stuff because they were mad at their dad, which is ironic because as I look back and you listen to his stories as he's talking about stuff, a lot of them go back to social programs don't work because my mom was on social programs and she would just yell freak out and go hide in her room and we didn't have anything to eat. So aren't all of these things that you're saying based on you being mad at your mom?
Yes.
The answer is yes, they are. So you're projecting.
Yes.
It's a really when you stop and really break it down, it's like, that's really interesting. And as someone who's been to Adam Carolla shows and shook his hand and spoken with him for a little bit, nice guy. I think he is a nice person. When you start spouting bullshit, that can get pulled back quite a bit.
Yeah.
David Allen, he was close friends with David Allen Greer. And at a certain point, David Allen Greer went, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And it was never really laid out exactly what happened or what was said, but suddenly David Allen Greer wasn't showing up on that show anymore. And
that was one of, I'm going to tell you what happened with those. It was one of those where David Allen Greer was trying to be his friend and pull his coattail.
Right.
And he did the white guy thing and was like, fuck you, I know what I'm talking about. And probably through the, all you bring up the race thing and nah. And David Allen Greer was like, yeah, fuck you, unless you go down this hole by yourself.
And you know what it was, I think, partially also, though, is sometimes Adam Carolla does that thing where he tries to get the African-American or black person that's on his show to co-sign on something that he says. Sure. You know what I'm talking? Like the way white guys will do. Like, yeah. And then and David Allen Greer was like, I'm not going to get roped into that bullshit. Yeah. Because he does that shit all the time. I mean, I saw him do it with, what's his name? Terry Crews. He did it with Terry Crews. Like, he's like, oh, so, you just hustled. You just pulled yourself up by your bootstrap. You know what I mean? Like, because Terry Crews talks about how he hustled to do anything he could to make money and all this type of stuff. And, then uses that as saying, oh, well, see, a black person can do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I read an article probably like 2 or 3 months ago, and what I found out in this article, which is something that now that I think about it, it makes sense, but it's not something that I thought was what it was, is that it's not that rich people are the people that think that motherfuckers don't work like they should. It's the people that just made it that think that the people don't work there like they should. So he would think that way because of what you were saying about his mom, and that because...
Well, and he has friends who didn't make it who are lazy.
Yeah.
He has friends who are lazy.
Yeah.
He has espoused different times when he has offered, hey, come along with me, do this. Maybe you don't get paid to begin with, but down the road, you'll get taken care of. I'll make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah.
And they grasp hard onto the little nugget of Okay, well, I'll pay you $75 a show. You can either get $75 a show now, or you can get nothing now. And when the show takes off, you can get half of what we bring in for profits.
Yeah.
And you have people who are going, no, I want my money now. I want my sure thing. And
The women's soccer team.
so
But also, when you come from nothing and you've not given much, you don't want to trust something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you want to get what you can get, especially if you come from poverty, which is where his friends all came from.
well, and so did he.
Yeah.
So did he. But he was, and freely admits that he hustled to get into this position, but by meeting Jimmy Kimmel and working with Jimmy Kimmel on this boxing match on the radio show, it opened up an opportunity for him that because he was not just a carpenter, he was doing improv and other things that you don't get paid for.
Yeah.
So you don't get paid to do improv. Trust us. So when somebody says, hey, if you want to come and do these bits for the radio station, maybe we can't pay you, but you'll be able to get on the radio, or you'll get a certain amount per bit if you do ba-da-da-da. And he had Jimmy Kimmel saying, you have to come up with something. You have to pitch this. You can't expect somebody to, because Jimmy was on the inside at that point, and Jimmy had worked at all of these small market stations.
Yeah.
And he was a cheerleader to a guy that he thought he could work with.
And he did work with
Yeah.
for a very long time. And again, I don't think Adam Carolla is a bad person.
Yeah.
I think Adam Carolla is somebody who sort of had to follow the dollar. He's got a giant nut that he has to cover, and it's
Yeah.
worse now. And you start to look at it. How do I do it? How do I do it? And when that has to be what you're doing, and his whole "fuck you, I've built a pirate ship" meant he was less likely to be able to get any mainstream parts.
Yeah.
Like, he's not an actor per se, but he was getting jobs hosting reality shows. There was the To Catch a Contractor show that was on Spike TV.
He was on Wreck-It Ralph, the first one.
He was in Wreck-It Ralph. He had there not been scheduling conflicts, he was slated to be the host of Top Gear America, which ended up being Adam Ferrara for 7 seasons. So as those things didn't happen or pulled back, he had to find ways to do it. And that opportunity went, if I go on Fox News, I'm going to be able to talk to these millions and millions of people. Now, when they come on and listen to my podcast, I have to have something there for them.
Yeah.
Have to. Or they're going to sample and leave, and they're not going to come back, and there's not going to be that value.
How long is this podcast?
Oh God, it's crazy long now,
It's like
and
3 hours now,
It's
right?
in 2 parts.
It's like I said about Joe Rogan.
Oh.
Is when you put a podcast out there that's that long, then you're gonna end up in trouble because you don't have shit to talk about for that long.
Well, and the thing is, he's not in trouble.
He's not in trouble with anybody.
Not in trouble, but I mean, you're gonna say stupid shit because you're out there for so long trying to have content.
But I'm the only one that's talking shit about him, right? Because he's not relevant.
Yeah, he's not Joe Rogan relevant. And the sad thing for him was he
could have been.
He absolutely was. He was at the forefront of podcasting. He was the crown jewel when they launched the Podcast One network. Getting Adam Carolla on the Podcast One network was key for them because he was the biggest podcaster in the world. And it's just really interesting how that's all sort of played out. And he's pushing 60 now.
Yeah. I also want to say, like, he comes from this idea, and I heard this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk. Have you heard of him before?
Of course, Gary V.
Yeah.
We've all heard of Gary V.
Okay. Good guys. You guys listen to. Think he has good ideas and stuff like that.
He is a cheerleader type dude.
Okay. What he was talking about, like, this thing I saw him talking about was like about how if you are a business owner and you expect your employees to care about the business as much as you're an idiot. And you shouldn't want them to care about the business as much as you because it's your fucking business. Nobody should care about it more than you. It is your job to give your employees a job and for them to work the job that you give them. I think that's an important thing because you hear about people thinking like they need to sacrifice themselves for their jobs or, like, I don't want to hear, like, Adam Carolla was like, don't do your best, do my best. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're the fucking owner. No, I'll do my best, and that's what you pay me for. I don't know. It's like the idea also of like, for the last 3 years I haven't been given a raise, and you're saying that I'm working above average. Well, how about I just work average now, and when you're ready to pay me above average, I will do an above average job.
Well, in terms of caring about a business, Jason, you and I went to see Letterkenny live on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the arena in San Jose waiting for the show to start. And it started a few minutes late because everybody was in the world's longest merch line. What was I doing as we were waiting for the show to start?
Taking care of business.
I was getting notifications that there were all of these things happening on the cameras in the studios here. So I'm checking in on the show that should have started at 6, had not started yet after 6:30. And I'm like, what is happening? And I'm freaking out about it. Now, Alex is here, and it's his first time by himself.
I know that feeling.
And the last time I went away, you were here, and that same podcast was here, and they had a bunch of technical issues.
Yes.
This time, one of their biggest technical issues was they showed up late, like 45 minutes late.
Yeah.
So that was part of the issue. But I'm sitting there losing my shit. Now, I can't do anything about it. I texted Alex. I was like, is everything okay? And he didn't text me back. So I'm like, well, I have to trust that he's going to handle it because I literally cannot do anything from where I am.
Yeah.
So I turned my phone off, and then we waited another few minutes, and the lights didn't go down. I turned my phone back on.
Like, it was literally like less than 5 minutes. It was less than 5 minutes because I just like, what are you doing, Nate? You just said you turned it off.
So I was like, yeah, I turned off the cameras, and I'm turning off my phone. I turned them both back on. Because I had to stress myself out a little bit more. So anyway, yeah, that just sort of goes to that point.
But you wouldn't expect Alex to worry like that about the show. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing I'm trying to, like, people have this expectation that people other than themselves should have a response. Like, well, it's one thing to do a good job.
I'm going to say this. It depends on what kind of job you have and how much money you make. Because I'm going to tell you this from experience. The more money that they pay you, the more they expect you to treat it like it's your own.
Of course.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like, I'm not talking about, like, people that are making, 6 digits, annually. And because, once you get into a certain point, your role is in an executive or managerial position where you're paid to have that type of, to a point still, though, but only it's supposed to still be to a point. You know what I mean? Like,
no, dude, if you own the business and you're not running it day to day, you pay somebody else to do all of that shit. And generally, you pay them very well to do all of that shit.
Right, but then
to worry about all of those.
But then they're the person. You know what I mean? Like, they're another person, right? And then if they fuck, then they come to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
well, and here's what I know about the people that I've hired to work here. The only thing I expect is that they will care about taking care of the clients while they're here.
Yeah.
Because there's a pride in what they're doing.
Right.
And all I expect them to do is the best they can. If they run into something, I tell everybody, call me. I would rather have a 5-minute conversation to solve a problem than have you stress for a half an hour to try and find a solution.
I guess I'm just saying because, like, Adam Carolla, we were talking about him, and he used to always say,
don't do your best, do my best.
And it's like, that's such a fucked up dick thing to say. Like,
well, my dad used to say, if you borrow something from somebody, don't treat it the way you would don't treat it the way you would treat it. Treat it the way they would treat it. So if I were to borrow your car, I don't treat your car the way I treat my car. I would treat your car the way you treat your car. Yes. Unless the way I treat your car is better.
Exactly.
And that's sort of where that comes from.
Well, no, I mean, and I've heard the same thing, but then just say like he's twisting it in a way that doesn't need to be twisted. Because, like, it's also, like, I've always said, like, if you're going to do something or borrow something, leave things in better condition that you found them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been taught.
Yeah.
Like, that's easy. That's not the same as work.
All right, we're gonna skip ahead here.
Let's skip the fuck ahead.
We're gonna skip ahead. We need to know what COVID-19 really means. So let's listen.
Corona, right? Corona. Corona is 6 letters. When you use gematria and you say A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, and you put Corona lined out at 66, so that's 666. But we found that out. So they're saying the white wing crazies found it out, so they changed it to COVID-19, which is C. What is this? C, right?
To C, yeah.
Ovid, look it up. Ovid means sheep. 19, military code for surrender. C, sheep, surrender. That's no joke.
Wow, that is actually the first I've heard of that.
Sure, because it's fucking crazy.
You know that what was it? Somebody pointed out the 19 with it's just fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's from 2019. And let me explain exactly what happened. When it came out, it was the coronavirus. They said it's the coronavirus or COVID-19. Do you know who wasn't happy to hear that it was the coronavirus? Corona Beer. And Corona Beer spent a fuck ton of money making sure that it wasn't called the coronavirus by people in power. They spent money on that because they wanted to still be in business. Is AIDS diet candy still in business? It's not. I'll help you. It's not. It was a thing.
Yeah.
Corona Beer needed to be in business. So they said, please do not call it the corona. Well, first of all, there's literally dozens and dozens of coronaviruses, so you're not being specific to begin with. Call it what it is, which is COVID-19. That's why it is. Not what this crazy lady in the American flag outfit said. Rough week for Ryan Coogler. The Black Panther and Creed director went to withdraw $12,000 cash from his own checking account. He was then detained and handcuffed by Atlanta police after the bank called the police.
Oh, God.
So Ron and I were having a conversation about this, and I told him, I was like, "Yeah, some fucking bullshit, right?" As like,
hold on. Can you let people know who Ron is?
Ron is my father-in-law.
Okay, because people listening to the podcast did not know who Ron is.
Ron is my father-in-law.
Okay,
so we're talking about this, and I was like, "Yeah, it's bullshit," and I was like, "This is bullshit," and he's like, "Well." He was kind of like saying, I don't know. I mean, if you just pushed a note across and wasn't really, too, and like, I was like, he had his ID, he had his bank card, and he put the note, and he's trying to be quiet about it because he doesn't want people knowing he's going to be taking $10,000 out of the fucking bank right now. He's trying to be quiet about it. I was like, and then listen to the call. Like, she says that the manager said to call. Like, even though she's like, you can tell that she doesn't think she should be calling, kind of. It doesn't sound like.
No. The dispatcher was the one that was sitting there thinking, like, you shouldn't have called.
It sounded like the person calling didn't sound like she didn't think she should be calling either.
No. That person does not belong in banking. Point blank, period.
I thought she was told to do it by somebody else at the bank.
No, she said, I don't feel comfortable. And she pretty much told the manager that he was trying to rob the bank. So her and the manager should be fired.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is
because the incompetence. Because the
joke about this though is once he found out that it was in he thought it was in California or something like that. When he found out that it was in Atlanta, he's like, oh yeah, okay, never mind. Okay. He's like, okay. He didn't argue about it anymore. He's just like, he's like, he wasn't shot.
Yeah. So the dispatcher is like, so you didn't verify his identity. And the dispatcher, you could see her laughing in her head. You motherfuckers are about to get sued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll. I mean, it's Bank of America, so we'll see.
Well, they settled.
Well,
they settled.
They
with
settled it.
Right.
They settled it really quick.
Well, shit, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want that drag out.
So just so everybody understands what happened, he went to the bank to get $12,000 out, and I think it was to pay somebody that worked for him
On the set.
on the set.
On a Disney movie.
On a Disney movie.
Like the
So
other two.
he went to get $12,000 out of the bank. He gives this lady a note that says, "Please count this somewhere else because I want to be discreet." That's pretty much what he said.
Right. I saw the note.
Yeah. So count this somewhere else. This is for the people out there. So he gives her the note. She asks for his ID. He gives her the ID. He puts his bank card in. He puts his PIN number in. He does everything that you're supposed to do
Right, when you're withdrawing
when
money.
you're withdrawing money. Now, there have been people like your father-in-law who said, well, he had the mask on. Every day since COVID, I've had a mask in the bank. You know what they tell you? They say, hey, can you pull your mask down so that I can see your face?
Yep.
Verify. You do it. They see it. They say, okay. They give you your money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the manager, if the girl was that shook, should have came and took charge.
Took
and
it over.
Took over and did the transaction.
Yeah.
Call it a day. Now, his explanation to the police officer was, I went and got my COVID shot last week. And while I was in CVS getting my shot, somebody got smoked, for white people, killed in the parking lot of the CVS while I was getting my COVID shot. So I didn't want nobody to know that I had $12,000.
Well, yeah, I don't want anybody knowing I got $12,000 as I walk around either.
I don't want anybody knowing I got $1,000 if I'm walking around with it.
Exactly. Look, so we pay my mom rent. I have to take out $800 out of my account and go deposit it in her account because the accounts aren't leaked. I don't want motherfuckers to know that I just took out $800 in the bank. I don't want them counting that out loud because for the same reason.
Yeah, you got to Zelle that shit over.
Yes, I get like for the same fucking reason. Again, she shouldn't be working in banking because she couldn't follow the simple instruction of just reading the note. Like, oh well, he had a California ID. Hey, guess what? California gives people fucking IDs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're fucking valid.
And they're valid.
And if it says real ID, that means it was validated with a passport or birth certificate.
Yes. California give motherfuckers IDs all the time. Mm-hmm. Georgia is the only place that you can get a fucking ID.
It's probably easier here too.
Yes. So
they require them.
I was like, what person robs a bank, gives you their ID, puts their PIN number in the fucking card, in the thing, and you don't take the fucking time to verify that this person is who they're alleging to be.
Right.
At all.
Imagine if it were Tyler Perry.
Yes. Your manager doesn't take the time to verify this person who they says they are at all. They should both be fired.
Yeah. It's a rough one.
And I don't give a fuck that she was black and she was pregnant. Your family, your school, your principal, your preacher, they all fucking failed you because you didn't learn fucking common sense. I said it. I meant it. God damn it.
You're canceled.
Oh, I wanted to get to this really, really quick. Ted Cruz is completely full of shit.
Week, I fly back and forth to Houston. Almost without exception, every time I'm on an airplane, either the captain or a flight attendant will come up to me, will hug me and say, thank you for fighting for us. Because I'll tell you, United Airlines, sadly, Houston's a hub of them, has fired thousands of pilots and flight attendants. What difference does it make? We're in the District of Columbia right now. There are mandates affecting kids in D.C. This is wrong.
This is people coughing in the background.
Every time I fly, almost, a flight attendant or a pilot comes up and hugs me. No, they don't. You are full of shit, Ted Cruz.
And even if they did, there's a fucking crazy person in every 100 fucking people anyways. Just because you get the turd in the bottom of the fucking 100 packages of M&Ms doesn't mean that it's the fucking truth all over the place, all right? Just because you get the fucking double cookie in the fucking package.
I can't believe this motherfucker went to Harvard.
Right?
Is the son of immigrants.
Uh-huh.
And he's turned this fucking mealy mouth.
This is out of the Trump playbook. In every Trump story, there's a big, powerful guy who breaks down in tears. That's what this is. It's this bullshit story.
His granddaddy in Cuba would punch him in the fucking throat.
Desi Arnaz should rise back up and punch him in the nuts.
Yes.
That's what I think. All right, we're going to wrap it up now. Excuse me, because I teased it. I don't want to do it. The idea of white Twitter, if you're not Twitter, TikTok. Are you familiar with stitching?
Yes.
Okay, this is a stitch. So listen and pay attention.
Ever wonder what's going on the white side of TikTok? Because I know you're watching this and you're black.
What? You should up on my FYP page and you're the one who said I was black, which is one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. Anyway, so what's going on the white side of TikTok? Well, a lot of whining, some racism, riots at Burger King because people won't wear a mask and they're angry because they can't get a Whopper. It smells like wet dog hair and quarters. And weird-ass recipes, not necessarily under-seasoned, but just weird. People dumping the food straight on the table with no plates or anything, and people cooking pasta in a casserole dish with Velveeta and raisins. Yes, that's pretty much it. Well, I'm going to go back to black TikTok and only comment agreed on black creators' stuff and learn how to better mind my own business. Well, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.
Okay. So now you know what's going on white TikTok.
I love that dude.
He's the best. He's one of my follows. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the WTH podcast. I was going to get this done in an hour, and we did not. So there it is. We went over by a little bit. Well, we're not going to charge extra. Just going to say it that way. Don't manhandle my microphone. All right.
It's the two hand.
We'll so next week Jason will not be with us. So we may or may not do a show. Kareem and I will talk and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But Jason is unavailable next week. So you want to tell people what you're doing?
I'm doing a playwriting workshop. I'll be acting in a 20-minute short play.
That is a very short play. Is there an intermission?
Yes. It's where I take my pants off. I will be in my boxer shorts in that 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
Wow. Nice. Yeah. Letterkenny Live was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
There is a new season of Letterkenny coming this year, so that's exciting. And there's a new show, a spin-off called Shoresy, which is coming to Hulu.
Yeah, I want to know, how did I not get invited to Letterkenny?
Well, it was supposed to be me and my wife.
Oh, okay.
So I only had one other ticket. That's how it happened.
Oh, man.
Although if I'd gone with you, I probably wouldn't have gotten that nice long walk-in. Jason navigated us to a restaurant.
I set up my map when we were in the parking garage when I should not have set it up.
And instead of going out of the door of the parking garage, straight ahead 1 block,
and then over and then, 5
businesses. and then turning right, literally about 3 doors down, we made a left-hand turn and went all the way, walked almost 3/4 of a mile.
Wow.
We got our steps in. I'm not complaining. It was hilarious. When we sat down to eat at the place, I literally laughed out loud because it was hilarious.
That's funny.
Listen, you go somewhere with Jason, you're going to have an adventure.
It's true. And we get out of the car and he's like, oh, my phone only has 8% battery.
Which is so rare. I usually have my phone, my phone's at 50% right now. It's usually at a really...
8.
That's funny.
8%.
Yeesh.
All right, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you next time, whether that's next week or the week after. We'll figure it all out. And don't be an asshole. That's all we can ask of you. Take care, everybody. Bye.